Welcome to Module 12, Transitioning from Formal Wraparound. This 12th in a series of online learning modules provides an introduction to care coordination using the Wraparound practice model in alignment with the National Wraparound Initiative. These modules focus on providing an introduction to the practice model, wraparound facilitation skills and competencies to implement the model, and links to further resources for the learner about wraparound practices. The Butler County Family and Children First Council partnered with the Center for School-Based Mental Health Programs at Miami University to produce the learning modules. Please push the forward arrow on the bottom right to advance to the next slide. Here are the module objectives. Participants will be able to identify teams' readiness for transition, utilize benchmarks, lessons learned, and outcomes to demonstrate to the team what has worked and which current needs will continue to be addressed. Participants will also reflect on products and resources to aid in the transition process. The transition phase of wraparound is at the tail end of the process. However, transition planning happens from the very moment you make contact with the family at the start of the process, through the engagement phase, and during ongoing meetings. Our focus should be guiding the team through the process, all the while talking about their end destination, which helps the family and team feel prepared for transitioning from formal wraparound. In actuality, it helps teams to think of transition as transition to, as opposed to transition from. Let's look at opportunities to weave transition discussion throughout the entire process. As discussed in previous modules, during the engagement phase of wraparound, we have the opportunity to learn about the family's vision for a better life. This is a great time to start talking with the family about how the wraparound process will help them achieve their hopes for a better life, in turn helping them identify what they hope to accomplish through team planning. This is a great opportunity to talk about the phases of wraparound, with a focus on transition and the importance of helping the family feel ready. Also, we can use team development as an opportunity to talk about life after wraparound. We can ask questions like, who can help you meet your needs after wraparound has transitioned? Who can you count on in a crisis? If the family has limited supports at the start, we can talk about building their natural supports and connecting them more to the community as part of the process, in hopes to have people in their life to help after formal wraparound has transitioned. During the planning phase of wraparound, it is important to help the team understand how the team mission can help guide the team toward their end destination. In helping the team develop their mission, we can ask the following questions. How will we know we are ready to transition from formal wraparound? What is our end target for a better life? What do we want to accomplish before we transition? Taking this extra time to connect the dots helps the team understand the importance of their mission driving the process and where they want to be at the end of the process or at the time of transition. Outcomes or benchmarks in wraparound are also a good way to help teams track and see readiness to transition throughout the planning phase. Benchmarking is discussed in more detail in a previous module. This bar graph is an example of outcomes a team has chosen to track as a way to show progress or lack thereof. In the following graph, take a look at what the information shows the team. Here are some examples of questions to ask the team to help make the connection between the team mission and the end hope for their family. What does this data tell us about our progress toward meeting the needs? What do we need to focus on in an effort to get closer to transitioning? Does this tell us we are getting closer to transition? Are there any patterns we are seeing that we need to be aware of as we plan for life after wraparound? Teams can also regularly review their team mission and rate their overall progress toward achieving their mission. This can be done by periodically asking the team during team meetings the following questions. This list is not exclusive. It may help the team to consider the following questions linking their planning to the mission and ultimately transition from formal wraparound. Try asking, How close are we to transition? On a 1 to 10 scale, how close are we to achieving our mission? What do we still need to consider as we move forward towards our mission? What will help us be closer to transition? Helping teams feel prepared for transition from formal wraparound is one aspect of transition planning. Now, let's take a look at actually walking teams through the transition plan process while finding ways to help them connect all of the pieces together. The whole purpose of walking teams through transition planning is to summarize all of the hard work done and lessons learned through the planning process and document it in one final plan that the family and team can take with them. This is done in an effort for the ongoing team and supports to use moving forward, as well as the ability to pass helpful information along to future supports that may be in the family's life. This is a great time to reaffirm successes and create dialogue about a plan for ongoing meetings to continue if needed. The actual plan document is helpful as a resource, but what's more important is the discussion that the facilitator has with the team. Here's why. This transition plan and resulting document should confirm for the team what was discovered and what was accomplished in their months of formal planning. The facilitator can ask questions about what was learned through the planning process as the team experienced success as well as barriers in planning. It is important here to ask open-ended questions of the team to gather everyone's perspective, keeping in mind to ask the youth and family first. Help them to see their successes and what they accomplished through the process. This is a time to affirm great work and remind the team they can continue to have success. When talking about accomplishments, it is important to help the team connect this to the mission and needs by asking specific questions. It's okay to reaffirm what the team's mission was here and help guide them through this part. Sometimes it's easier for us to see the team and specific family accomplishments that they aren't able to see themselves. This also is a good time to talk about newly discovered functional strengths of the youth, family, and team members. Take time to talk about these strengths and how they tie with success. Here are some examples of prompting questions to help the team consider different accomplishments over the course of the planning process. What specific things happened along the way that pointed to us being closer to the mission? What are family members able to do now that they weren't able to do before? What supports do you have now that you didn't have before? Is there anything about our benchmarks or things we were tracking that showed us we were making progress? How has the initial condition that brought them to wraparound changed? What's different about the reasons you first came into wraparound? And also, what did team members or family members learn about themselves and each other during the process? Another thing to help the family and team work through are lessons learned throughout the course of planning. Again, these should be things tied to the needs and the mission the team focused on during planning. Sometimes it is helpful to document here what didn't work during planning so that future supports don't make the same mistakes. Here are some questions to help the team document the things they learned. What do we know now about the team, family, youth that we didn't know before? Why were certain action steps helpful and others not? What didn't work and why? What things made progress better or worse? Did we learn anything about patterns of the youth or family? Let's listen to Sam's team identifying the lessons they learned.
Well, welcome everyone to our last get-together as a wraparound team. We like to celebrate the fact that this team has done such great work. At our last meeting, we determined that we had met our mission and our needs statements, and things were going great. And so we planned our little pizza party, and we're going to just work through giving everybody the plan to go forward without my facilitation assistance. So that's what our goal is for today. So I wanted to talk about some things that we might have learned through this process. And I noted a couple of things that Tracy shared with me already, that if an activity is motivating enough, Sam can actually pause and really make a good decision. So that's a lesson that we learned, and that he likes clear boundaries, and this helps him in social situations. So are there other lessons that I can add to this?
I think one of the things that I've noticed is, Tracy knows that she can let some things go and just focus on the most critical.
Anything else?
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, you gotta choose your battles.
Cindy, you were saying?
I was just gonna say that he's really been great about using sensory things and the heavy work and figuring out what's most helpful at the time and being creative in different ways about that.
We know one of our major accomplishments was Sam has stayed out of the hospital. And this team's been working for a year and a half, and in all that time, we have not had a single hospitalization. So that is our woo-hoo! Other kinds of accomplishments, what else have we seen?
I think the school is working out now.
Yes.
That you feel that his education, that those needs are being addressed.
He's actually doing really well in school.
Another thing to help the team think about is what comes next. During transition planning, it is important to have the team develop a plan for ongoing meetings if the team decides they want to continue their work together. Remember, just because a team is transitioning from formal wraparound doesn't mean they have to stop meeting or planning. Team meetings can definitely continue, and the team should work through how to make this happen. Here are things to consider. Who can be in charge of leading the meetings? Who needs to be invited to the meetings? Where could the meetings take place? How often does the team need to meet at this point? What documents, information do we need in order to help us? Let's review Sam's team's plan for ongoing meetings.
So ongoing supports, and if you feel like that you need to get everybody together again, let's talk about how that can happen without me being involved in that.
I think probably the first place would be to call your SSA
Yes,
and identify what those needs are, and then if we need to open wraparound again, or if there's other sources, or as we go along.
Support coordinator. So Cindy, you will stay in that role how much longer?
Well, typically we, when they turn 14, they move on to a transition coordinator who that's their specialty. You know,
Okay.
is that work initiative thing.
So you still have another year and a half or so.
Yeah.
Cindy. So Cindy's going to stay involved with you. Miranda, what is your role in all of this? How long does your work
We've been working now for a
continue?
year and a half. We'll probably start to work on our own fading since behaviors are going pretty well. They're not really happening. And we kind of fade out and go to a monitoring status, and then we'll be in contact with Cindy about what's going on and if we need to be more active or not. So we'll still be around. We won't go away completely unless you want us to.
Word monitoring. And Linda, is there anybody else besides the special ed director that possibly could provide the school support?
You're in a district, I don't think you have a parent mentor in your district. So certainly if she needed assistance beyond that, there's the Ohio Coalition and I'd be happy to get you that number if you.
Okay.
And then also looking for ongoing learning opportunities as
We do
well. I
that,
know
yes.
you do that a
A
lot.
lot, yes.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, and there's actually some that come through here. So, and I know that they're planning some probably for August or September.
And the other piece that we had been spending a lot of time trying to plan around is your friend Jody actually stepped up and decided that she could help with the whole respite, getting
Yes,
you guys
yes.
breaks.
Mhm.
And when I spoke with her last, she was still willing to do that. So I think that's the recognized ongoing support.
The other support is due to his behavioral changes and as well as he's been able to have some overnights with his friends in the neighborhood.
Awesome.
So that's just because of the changes that he's made, it's really working well for him to now be able to do some things on his own.
So his friends are coming in as another support
Yes.
for him,
Yes,
which is what we want to see for
Yes.
a young
Yes.
man who's almost 13.
yes.
Well, thank you, and please continue your celebration.
Alright, have some more pizza. Go, you can have some.
The team should also review the ongoing needs of the youth as well as the family as part of the transition plan. Remember, transitioning from wraparound does not mean that all of the concerns have completely gone away. This is a good time to plan for any future what-if situations that might need to be addressed while building upon the crises prevention plan that was developed during the process. Help the team to review who will be ongoing supports to the family and what those individuals will be doing to provide support. Help the team to see that not all supports are going away at once. Make sure to include any new supports the family may have at this point in the process, professional or natural. This is also a good time to think ahead about crises. Have the team make any adjustments to the crises plan based on what has worked and what they have learned through trial and error. As a final check, the crises prevention plan should hold meaning to the family and is not reliant on formal services. It should capture the clear steps to help prevent, minimize, and manage crises in the respective environments it can occur. It helps the adults know not only what to do, but how to do it calmly. It is concise and easily accessible to those involved. One great way to ensure teams are ready for this is to practice. Have someone else facilitate the last several meetings while using the facilitator as a coach. Encourage the parent or young adult to lead the meetings as much as possible so they feel comfortable with the flow. Remember, this is a great time to provide the family and team with positive affirmations and encouragement for their continued work after wraparound. Have team members use this time to also role play, practice any crises prevention planning done through the process. Teams are much more likely to feel comfortable with transition if they have practiced different situations and feel prepared for the worst. Let's look at Sam's team anticipating future challenges they may encounter.
What are some other things that we might anticipate happening? Because Sam is almost 13 now.
Obviously, the teenage years and
Hormones.
Girls, boys, all those
Yes.
things.
yeah.
So what are some things that can help the family know where to go for some of that help, that planning?
Well, we're always available, even though we're closing wraparound, we're still gonna be around. So, just give us a call and we'll see where we could go from that too. And I think especially in that, when you mentioned the 13-year-old, it's, transition planning is a big deal because getting through school and that from teenage years out to life and work and other options. So we will be there for you.
Well, DD has helped us with some activities over the summer that, Home Depot was one of the places that he got to go, and he helped build a shed, which was for a whole week, and that was very, very, very good for him. He really enjoyed that, helped us a lot.
And to identify his interests
His
and things
interests.
for planning for the future
Yes,
as
for
well.
the future,
So-
yes,
Now
he
when we
did.
go camping, he's building everything.
He's getting, that's wonderful, he loves it.
That's- yeah.
Getting flower boxes and
The transition discussion with teams should be summarized and captured in a formal transition plan document that the family and team can reference if needed and pass along to future supports. Make sure the document includes, but is not limited to, the already discussed topics: accomplishments toward the mission, lessons learned through the process, plan for ongoing meetings, list of ongoing needs and plan to address them, team mission statement, an updated strengths list, contact information for ongoing supports, the updated, well-rehearsed crises plan. Think of this as a bookend from the strength, needs, and culture discovery that was started at the beginning of the wraparound process. It should tie up and summarize what has been learned and what needs to be passed on. The final step in the transition phase should be a commencement ritual or celebration. This is a great opportunity for teams to take time to praise each other for the hard work and commitment made over the course of the process. Encourage the whole team to pitch in and get creative. Make sure it has meaning to the youth and family. Here are a few examples of what teams can do if the resources are available. Have a carry-in, sing karaoke, go bowling, order pizza, grill out in the backyard or at a park, paint pottery, create a special group activity or art project, have a Sunday bar, give out certificates or some token commemorating progress. Some programs provide resource binders, genograms, and family trees, life books, scrapbooks, service summaries, letters to future providers, or other transition objects to symbolize their transition from formal wraparound. Whatever is chosen, it should be reflective of the youth and family and be unique and meaningful to their team. So as a recap of preparing teams for transitioning from formal wraparound, let's look again at a coaching target tool that focuses on planning for life after wraparound. Best practice includes the following skills and activities. The facilitator guides the team in discussing life after wraparound from the early stages of planning and relates the process to the action plans and needs. The facilitator informs the family and team of how transitions meetings will look and time frames, assures input about progress and remaining work to be done. Facilitator uses established benchmarks to support the team in deciding to enter the last phase of wraparound. Rates the concerns that brought the family to wraparound and includes the entire team when asking for input. Brainstorms various options for establishing the next plan to be used by the family after wraparound. Celebration is planned that meets the comfort level of the family and their culture. In review, the transition discussion should occur throughout the formal wraparound process. It builds continuously on the development of functional strengths and accomplishments. Benchmarking and tracking of progress should be used to track readiness to transition, along with checking in on the team mission. Help the team to connect the dots by talking about lessons learned, accomplishments of the team and family, and create understanding that the team can continue to plan together. The prioritized needs should have been met enough that the family feels they are able to do it on their own. Help the team create a plan to continue to meet if needed, and review the resources available to them after formal wraparound has transitioned. The discussion should leave the family feeling supported rather than abandoned, and able to call and run their own meeting if needed. This is a time to celebrate success and hard work on the team level, and for the family to have a sense of connection and support by those that love and care about them. In the final module, we will discuss practices to be mindful of when working with transition age youth and wraparound. Congratulations! You have completed Module 12, Transitioning from Formal Wraparound.